Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Am I Missing Something? It's Matt.
And it's Zach.
This is our commentary show. We have a little bit more of a conversation about a particular topic or subject or band or, just something that happens to pop up, kind of like what this topic did. There's been a lot in the news that I remember seeing in the most recent past is Bruce Springsteen and tickets and his ticket prices and fees and everything going sky high. And then most recently it was The Cure and their ticket prices and Ticketmaster just kind of doubling up ticket prices.
And let's not forget the Taylor Swift fiasco.
And the Taylor Swift fiasco where essentially the pre-sales sold out the show. So Ticketmaster, am I missing something?
I think we've been wanting to talk about Ticketmaster on the show for a while, but it almost is just like, where do we even begin? Because anyone who's been going to concert has always had a gripe with Ticketmaster in some form. I mean, as far back as the early 90s when Pearl Jam was trying to go after them over the ridiculous fees, there's always been controversy regarding how Ticketmaster handles its business, and even more so when they merged with Live Nation. Especially with the Taylor Swift incident, it's really made even the less casual concert goers go, what the heck? How did this even happen? I think it's great to see finally some artists speaking up. I think The Cure is a great example also more recently of how here's Robert Smith being very vocal the week of sales going, hey, we already went through hell and high water to try to get these fees down. And we even said no way to dynamic pricing, which is a topic we'll get into more as well. But these fees are still ridiculous. And they even went to bat and made Ticketmaster give $5, $10 refunds, which is a tiny bit, but still something. It just makes you still go how in the hell did we get here? How did we get to a point where one single company has so much control over the cost and the procedures? Because I think that's the other thing too. It's not even just the costs, which are ridiculous, but even just the pre-sale process. Why the hell are there so many pre-sales within a single week? What makes them even unique? How did we let it so that no matter what Ticketmaster does, whether it's the verified fans, whether it's dynamic pricing, that these scalpers are still screwing fans over? No matter how many laws go into effect, bots are still screwing fans over. But then also it makes you go question, how much of it really is even Ticketmaster's fault? Is it really the bot's fault? I mean, it's just a lot of questions.
There are a lot of things that I do have a problem with Ticketmaster from a completely different standpoint. I guess this is going to be, I think, one of the big questions that I want to ask. And maybe I'm missing something on this particular piece, but is Ticketmaster a thing that's still even really needed anymore? Could the bands and the venues handle tickets themselves and they employ their own technology and whatnot? Because you got to think about it, right? Ticketmaster and Live Nation, they don't have to print out tickets anymore. 95% of the time, you don't have to print out tickets and send tickets to anybody. You just deliver them on a phone, whether it be through an app, through email, and then you load it into your Google Wallet or the Apple Wallet or whatever the app is called that you have as a wallet. So from that perspective, I think that if the bands, if a bunch of bands got together, say a record label got their own ticketing service and they were the ones who controlled everything. Granted, there's still probably be fees and things like that, but at least it's not a giant conglomerate doing it for everybody. The bands and the labels would answer for it at that point.
I think the problem, though, to play devil's advocate on two things. One, Ticketmaster, in theory, does take away a lot of the issues that a single band could deal with. There's a lot of responsibilities. For instance, if scalpers really do run wild and buy up all the ticket, Ticketmaster does to a certain degree take a lot of those headaches and security away from the bands that they may not be capable of doing. Even just from a technology standpoint, because it seems easier than printing out tickets, but there's still some cost and resources and time to go into those technologies. I agree. And I don't think every band can do it. And to your point about the labels, I don't know if I want labels involved. I think that's part of the problem with Live Nation even being involved. I think artists could do a better job at saying, hey, Ticketmaster, this is what I want. I don't want this. I don't want that. You need to do this or I'm walking. Like they need to do a better job at playing hardball. And Ticketmaster will make the argument of, well, that's why we did dynamic pricing. That's why we give them the choice of doing verified fans or the platinum options. But in the end of the day, when you're an artist and your concert promoter is the same company that owns Ticketmaster, how much sway do you think they really going to have in convincing you? No, this is how you should price it out. And if I'm an artist, I'm going. I'm working with these experts. In theory, why wouldn't I listen to them? I think more of a bigger question is, why isn't Access.com, which is AEG's ticket company and basically the only real promoter against Ticketmaster, and even like when you look at like the strength and like numbers that AEG has compared to Ticketmaster, it's still a huge gap. Why aren't more artists going, no, screw you, I'm going to go to AEG, I'm going to go to Access? Like, why is there not? Because when I'm looking at editorial pieces and everyone goes, the key is competition. Live Nation has too much of a monopoly. Ticketmaster has too much of a monopoly. You need more competition. Well, in theory, there kind of is. What's holding Access back from getting more of that market share?
I'm surprised that there hasn't been there's been a lot of disruptors in every other sort of space out there. Like if you think about it, like Carvana, they're out there disrupting the car purchasing service. They're trying to, granted, they're not having much success right now.
I was going to say, they're not really doing a good job right now.
But the theory is out there that they're trying to disrupt the normal model of things. And, I don't know if Ticketmaster is just that big where, bands won't try another smaller service, which I kind of get. Like if you're a huge band, you don't want like this little rinky-dink company handling your thing, but there has to be somebody who can come in and sort of disrupt the ticket space and disrupt the handling of this, because looking at the way that Ticketmaster puts it on their site, you would think that it's not such a bad thing with the fees, like with what they're trying to recoup for, but there has to be some sort of other checks and balance in place. Like The Cure, for example, their $20 tickets are getting $20, $25, $30 in fees, and you're paying now $55. It is ridiculous because there should be some percentage in place that says whatever your ticket is, give me 30% of the ticket price as fees. I think that would be fair. However, you're not getting that now. You're getting a standard dollar amount across the board. And their website doesn't lead me to believe that there's anything in place like that. It's just, we're trying to recoup the fees for the technology, the employees, the this, the that, the other thing, and that's what's building up these fees. I think if somebody else had some more backing in the space, like let's say that, I don't know, if like Sony Records, let's just take Sony Records for example, right? If Sony said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start our own ticket company, and they were going to handle the ticketing for all of their artists, I think somebody like Sony could handle it. And maybe they could be the disruptor in the space.
Well,
but to have
the other problem though that you kind of run into, and this is why it's kind of dangerous for Live Nation to be so in control, is that, and this kind of goes back to what, why does AEG not have such a stranglehold? I think 80% of the venues in North America are Live Nation operated. Like, I don't know if it's as simple as Sony going, cool, doing it on our own, because then they lose out on a lot of venues that are probably Live Nation going, well, screw you then. Your artist is not going to play Madison Square Garden, or they're not going to play all these amphitheaters that we control. I think sure that's a big problem too.
It could be. I also think that if you have a big enough artist, like let's say, I don't know who she's with, but Taylor Swift. If Taylor Swift was with Sony for all intents and purposes, and they did their own thing, you don't want Taylor Swift playing your venue where it's guaranteed to sell out and you're going to make money on the concessions and everything?
Just before Swiftie fans get down our throats, she's with Universal.
Okay.
Just want to throw that out there now. I think the issue, though, this leads to something that kind of we touched on at the beginning is, yeah, Taylor Swift, out of all the artists, you'd think would have a lot more say or power. Yet, I would say almost out of all the artists, she did the least to really kind of, like, I guess maybe she did some pushing to make sure that the pre-sales, got resolved and like they made some more tickets available. But really, you're right. She, of all artists, probably could have done something more unique and crazy, and yet she didn't. You look at The Cure, and even the fact that they stood up their ground and really held Ticketmaster more accountable. Hell, even like Metallica, we've talked about this on a few episodes now, where they are doing 2 nights, Friday and Sunday shows in arenas across the US and Canada over the course of 2 years. They eventually sold single day tickets, but initially it was you could only buy tickets for both nights. And we were both shocked when the ticket prices came out for 2 shows. Remind me, because I think I still owe you money for these tickets. In total, for one single ticket was $186.
Somewhere in that ballpark, yeah.
Including fees, or was that without fees?
No, that's all in.
So for $186, granted, it's in the 300 section, you get 2 shows. I mean, I'd be lucky to get that price for a single show. And I bet you dollars to donuts, Metallica, it wasn't like Live Nation going, hey, we have, well, actually, you know what? Who knows? Maybe this is a question for anyone who works for Live Nation and Metallica's camps listening to our podcast. Let us know who came up with that really creative and unique idea. Because to me, that's the kind of disruptive and interesting ideas, because that's the kind of pricing model that actually benefits venues, in that you better believe that MetLife is going to sell a ton of beer on both nights. And they're going to make a lot of money on parking. Again, I think I mentioned this fact a lot of times. One of the things I learned in the music industry really early was there's bands that an arena will book, even when they know they can only sell half of the seats. And they do it because basketball, other sporting events, and family entertainment only run certain periods of the year. They need to sell concession food, beer, all the inventory. So they'll make money just from, people being in the building. That's why even when you look at amphitheaters, sometimes they know that they can't fill up that arena. So that's why you go on Groupon and you can buy $20 lawn seats and then upgrade through the Live Nation app with no fees, which is still the best deal, actually, when it comes to amphitheater shows. They know that people are getting into the show cheaper, but they just want them to buy $15 beers.
Right.
So my question is, why aren't more artists taking a stand and trying to be more unique in that way, knowing that everything's more expensive? It's more and more people getting a little bit more picky with their concerts. Why aren't we in an age where artists are going, you know what? No, we need to work out something more unique here. Or I keep going back and forth of whether or not I like dynamic pricing. I hate it because of what it's actually resulted to, because it's resulted to $5,000 Bruce Springsteen tickets. But in theory, it's supposed to help.
I get it. But, if you think about it, you ask the everyday person, hey, did you know that if you buy an airplane ticket today versus if you buy it 6 months ahead of time, it's a different price? If they don't fly, they're not going to know. Same thing goes for your concert tickets, right? Like the casual concert going person who wants to go see their favorite artist who's coming to town, they look up the pricing and they see one day it's $50. And then you come back and it's getting closer and closer to the show. Prices are going to go up a bit. I get what they're trying to do. Your Joe average person's not going to understand it, and it's only going to frustrate them more, and then everybody's going to be up in arms about it.
Well, you made a great point about how no one, with airplane tickets, most people don't realize how much cheaper flights are 6 months ahead of time. Here's the problem with doing a dynamic pricing for tickets. Everyone has been trained to log into Ticketmaster and
wait online
and click for tickets at 10 a.m.
Yes.
So, of course, when you have most shows, especially like a Taylor Swift show or a Bruce Springsteen show or even The Cure, bands that are really in heavy demand, no one is going to go, I'm going to just wait to see if I feel like it in June. I know it's right. Only October. The Live Nation and Ticketmaster have trained people to get on ASAP. And the problem is, of course, the pricing is going to go high up if the way the algorithm with dynamic pricing works. Because if it's already recognizing within 1 minute, there's huge demand for this. Of course, a great example is with See Here Now. Before I give an example, you had a.
I was just going to say, it's not even just now. Think about like back in the 80s, like outside of like Tower Records or outside of like what the hell was the one that was around here? There was a little ticket booth in the mall. It was
Sam Goody. You could
not even
about tickets.
No, it wasn't Sam Goody. Where was it?
Well, I think there you could. Well, I know FYE. Some FYEs you could buy tickets. At least when I was in college, the one in Massachusetts let you, which was awesome.
I think it was something called like Ticket Galaxy or so. It was just some really generic name, some really like 80s generic name. Like I know what you're talking about, but I'm going even further back than that. Because I remember vividly that I would see people lined up outside of this little ticket booth thing, but it wasn't from a movie theater, and it was for concert tickets. And people would be online waiting to go get concert tickets because that's what you do. And even in like Dazed and Confused, what's the big thing of the summer? Going to get them Aerosmith tickets, and we're going to drive into Houston. They were going to get the tickets. That's what they were planning on doing. You know, you have to get there and get your tickets. And now when Ticketmaster, you hit the nail on the head when you said that, oh, within 1 minute, the algorithm's going to pick it up and it's going to say, oh, you've got this huge demand for tickets. Now they're going to be in the thousands of dollars. Yeah. That doesn't work in this scenario. And I don't know if that works on flights as well. I mean, for me personally, I've never experienced where high demand flight tickets go up in price. I know that the closer you book to a flight, you're going to get more and more expensive. Yeah. But as far as it shooting up, I just don't know.
So, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. Well, for two things. First, the example, because of the whole dynamic pricing. This legit happened. We bought See Here Now VIP tickets. Foo Fighters, Killers. You've heard me rave about this festival in Asbury Park, and it's phenomenal. But they ran into some issues with dynamic pricing in that I'm very fortunate that my wife knew that you don't start on the See Here Now website. You start on the actual ticket company's website and then go into the pre-sale. Like it's all about, it's not even necessarily like the bots beat out anyone. It's that you just need to know where to actually start when it's 10 o'clock and tickets go on sale. She got tickets for the advertised price, $6.50 per ticket. She got the receipt at 10:01. At 10:02, people were already reporting that the prices skyrocketed to $6.95 for a VIP per ticket because of demand. Within 2 minutes, people were having to pay even like an extra $50, and it just got higher and higher. Not even 5 minutes, 2 minutes. And I think I'm glad you brought up the idea of doing it in person, because I think, touching on pre-sales a little bit, one article I was reading, Pitchfork actually, because they had some good suggestions on how to combat this, and they were saying about spreading out the pre-sales, about instead of having it all within 1 week, having batching it so that this pre-sale happens a month in advance, this one happens 3 weeks in advance, like just it's spread out a little bit more, which is in theory good, but I think you need to go an even step further. Do the actual in-person buying tickets. Nine Inch Nails, actually, when they did, I think it was actually right before the pandemic, they did 2 shows at Radio City Hall, a few shows just like scattered intimate venues, and they had the pre-sale was in person only. You had to be at the venue before it went on sale online. They gave fans the chance to buy tickets in person at the venue. So I'm sure there was some fees still, maybe some taxes, but it was in theory less fees than buying it online. I think the way you almost beat this, and granted, some venues don't really have the capability to do this. I'm thinking like, for instance, a PNC Center in Homedale. I don't know if it's going to be maybe they could actually set it up so that like you get there and you buy it. You make it so that, all right, this show's in June, in March, before they go on sale on Ticketmaster, you have to buy it in person. Having those in-person pre-sales, I think could also help. I mean, there's still going to be some scalpers who are going to say, screw it, I'm going to get in line in person, but at least it makes them do an extra step in order to get those tickets. We've all gotten too used to being comfy at home to buy these tickets. And it kind of stinks that we have to go outside and maybe waste an hour in the morning before going to work to buy tickets. But I think that's going to be the only real, going old school is one way to cut back at least a little bit on these bullshit pre-sales.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll tell you this too, one of the most recent ticket buying experiences that I had, and it was a very pleasant experience. I actually had a full-blown conversation with a salesperson at the New Jersey Devils to buy tickets to a Devils game. And him and I were, going back and forth like, oh, well, where do you want your seats? I'm like, oh, I need about 5 seats together, and I need them, I don't want to be in nosebleeds, but I don't need to be right against the ice, just somewhere with like some great viewing angles and whatnot. And he kind of tailored where I wanted the tickets to my needs, and he talked me, through the whole thing. He showed me pictures of where my seats were going to be. He's like, "Are these good for you?" And we went back and forth over a couple of emails, and lo and behold, we get to the ticket price. The ticket price was $80 a ticket. And I'm like, okay, well, what are the fees? Oh, there's no fees. It's just $80 a ticket. I was like, oh, so my price is $400 for 5 seats. Yeah, plus tax, obviously tax, but.
Listen, I bet you that if they found a way to do in-person pre-sales and they still added like a convenience fee, it's still like, and I'm not saying go crazy with the fees like you do online, but like it still would be at least maybe a little bit more affordable and kind of just guarantee better seating prices. Because I think the other problem is too, is that with pre-sales, it's like, all right, the fact that shows actually sold out with Taylor Swift, for example, during a pre-sale. How the hell did that even happen?
That's not a pre-sale.
Yeah, that's just on sale.
So let's just put this out there to be blatantly clear. A pre-sale, in our opinion, or at least in my opinion, Zach, you can agree or not, is that you have a special way via a credit card or through some other like fan club or whatnot that you have the ability to try to get tickets early because you've got these special privileges. You log on, there's a certain amount of tickets for that pre-sale. When those certain amount of tickets allotted for the pre-sale sell out, then you have to wait for general sales and everybody can then buy the tickets.
What a revolutionary idea.
I know, right? But yeah, another question is like with credit cards, I know that they some of them get a little picky choosy about like you have to have a Citibank card, and you have to have an American Express card, or the Taylor Swift fan club. I don't know, I'm just making it up, but I think some of them get a little crazy with the pre-sales because it's like I remember one ticket that I bought years ago and I couldn't tell you what it was, but I know very vividly that I went on there for a pre-sale. It's like, oh, well, if you're an American Express da-da-da member, your pre-sale is here. If you're an American Express da-da-da-da pre-sale thing, go here. If you're a Citibank person, da-da-da-da, go here. It's like, how many different pre-sales are you going to have before you say like, everybody just go buy some tickets? I think you're just pandering at that point. And I think this Taylor Swift thing really is the worst example of what a pre-sale is supposed to be, obviously, because it's sold out during the pre-sale. It should be that the pre-sale sold out. Wait for tickets to just go on sale so you can buy your tickets wherever is remaining.
This all kind of goes back to, and this I want to segue into fees with this part too, is that every state has their own laws about showing fees or how much they can charge certain tickets and what they make visible up front. And I think that's also another part of the problem is that it's a little hard you almost have to make a standard across the board, but you're kind of limited by local laws. And going back to the fees, it's like you mentioned about like be upfront about them. Well, some states you have to, like New York, I think you have to be upfront of the fees. But even sometimes that doesn't do good because it automatically makes the ticket when it comes to resale, because the bot law, even though they have laws in New York about trying to cut down on bots, they don't really work. And you're just making it even easier for these bots and to buy tickets or scalpers to charge even more, because instead of charging double the face value, they're charging double on everything.
That annoys me. For Ticketmaster, I am on their official website right now, and I'm going to read the service fee and order processing fee segment that they have on here. It says, in almost all cases, Ticketmaster adds a service fee, also known as a convenience charge, to the face value price, or in the case of a resale ticket, to the listing price of each ticket. The service fee varies by event based on our agreement with each individual client. In addition to the per ticket service fee, an order processing fee is typically charged. Unlike the service charge, which is added to each ticket, the processing fee is charged once for each order. The processing fee offsets the cost of ticket handling, shipping, and support, and as a result, the processing fee is generally not charged on in-person box office purchases. In some cases, Ticketmaster's ordering process costs may be lower than the order processing fee. In those cases, Ticketmaster may earn a profit on the ordering processing fee. In both cases, these fees are collected by Ticketmaster and typically shared with our clients. Now, this is where it gets interesting because now they talk delivery fees. And I quote from their website again, Delivery options are determined by our clients and can vary from event to event. We offer a variety of ticket delivery options that vary in price, dependent upon the delivery method chosen. Delivery options may include mobile tickets, will call pickup, print at home, U.S. mail, or UPS. The UPS delivery fee may not reflect the actual cost of UPS charges Ticketmaster to deliver tickets via UPS. In some cases, delivery fees may include a profit to Ticketmaster. What makes that last part interesting? In some cases, you may double dip on the sending mobile tickets. So forget printing tickets, because they're collecting a fee for the technology and they're going to charge you to deliver your tickets to you on your mobile device. That's bullshit.
Yep.
I don't understand where any of that comes from. I understand collecting once for the technology and the upkeep of the technology because of storage concerns and for the ever-evolving technology that's out there and making things better and the people behind the scenes developing it and, you know, designing it. I get that part. I totally agree with that. But the double dipping on the fees, and to say that in some cases delivery fees may include a profit to Ticketmaster, that's bullshit. Because if you're going to charge me to deliver tickets to my phone, you're going to print a ticket and you're going to mail it to me. So I at least have something for a goddamn scrapbook. Because that's another thing that I can't do anymore that annoys the hell out of me.
They're saying they're giving you options. No, you're not giving us options anymore. You've stopped giving us options. Because that's supposed to be cutting down on scalpers. That's particularly the one topic that's always been a hot button issue, even before the mergers. Where the hell are these fees going? And it's just ridiculous.
And you know what? Scalpers, they've always been an issue. Let's not even pretend that this is like a new thing. Like, people were scalping tickets when you had to go buy tickets. They'd go buy, you know, a whole arm's length worth of tickets and then sell them in the parking lot. So that's not a thing anymore. Now, smart people got the bots in there, and now the bots are buying even more tickets than when the scalpers were doing it in person. Mm-hmm. Now it just seems like it's a bigger issue because now one site or one person can literally buy like 6 or 7 sections worth of tickets, not like 6 or 7 sets of 2 tickets, like maybe 6 or 7 sections in an arena because of a bot. I would rather go back and buy tickets in person and have the scalper have to lay out the cash up front and, you know, possibly get really screwed out of his or her money.
At least
it's easier to do the advertising. Yeah.
I mean, the other problem that you run into with the scalper, because I also get why certain technologies making it easier to transfer tickets, because let's be real, there's definitely instances where there are honest people who just literally can't go to shows. But it's just tough because it's like, all right, are you going to punish them then and say, nope, you should have thought of that when you bought the tickets? Or do you try to find a way to like get around it? And granted, like the Cure did a great job. It's like, listen, markets like New York make it actually very hard for resale tickets. So we urge you to go through these channels that are verified and like actually sell to fellow fans if you really can't go. Mm-hmm. I think it goes back to kind of full circle here. It goes back to the artists need to be more vocal, even the labels to a certain degree. But then it also goes to, well, you know, who are they actually having the conversations with? Who's actually giving them guidance? Oh, the company that owns Ticketmaster, who benefits the most from these practices.
I may get some flack for saying this, but there needs to be like a third-party company, kind of like what PayPal was in the beginning with eBay, right? Like, you have a company that you say, I can't I can't go to the show anymore, and I bought these tickets, and let's put them up there. Granted, like StubHub and places, they kind of do this, but they also they're obviously going to take some fee or whatnot, and most people don't know that some places like that you can sell your tickets, but there has to be some like place that's specifically for this type of scenario where it's like, technically
Ticketmaster created that, their resale market.
Right, they created the resale market, but they make it very difficult because it's not their primary focus. Their primary focus is on selling new tickets because let's face it, all that they're going to get now is they're going to get lesser of a fee instead of getting a full-blown fee. There has to be a company that takes this as their primary focus and says, I'm going to take your tickets and I'm going to put them up here and we're going to watch and monitor and we're going to run through all the checks and balances and make sure that they get to the right people. I see, to me, I have a problem with Ticketmaster doing it, and somebody can tell me that, oh, no, you're wrong. It's fine if Ticketmaster does. That's fine. But I feel like if somebody had a partnership and just Ticketmaster offloaded all that responsibility to somebody else, and maybe they could focus and drive down their ticket prices a little bit because they don't have to worry about the resale market and somebody else can handle it. Even if it's like a sister company, I think it would be in their interest to help with, like, to do something with that.
I think in the end of the day, I think the biggest point is Ticketmaster and Live Nation have too much control.
They do
have too much stake, and they have too much reason to not change their ways.
And that's what makes it hard.
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, there was another company in a totally different market that tried to do something like that, and the industry got completely up in arms with it. When Microsoft Series X Xbox came out, they were trying to take complete control away from people to let people share, borrow, and resell games like in a pre-owned market. And that's a huge thing in the video game industry. And what did PlayStation do? PlayStation heard all the backlash and PlayStation was considering it. But what they did was when they finally announced like the PlayStation 5 is they said, oh, you want to share a game with a friend? You don't have to worry about a license. You don't have to worry about anything else. Here's a picture of our CEOs demonstrating how you share a game. And one of them picked up a game, turned to the other one, handed them the game, because that's what gaming's been all along. It's your ability to be together and play games together. And all you're trying to do at a certain point is get people together who want to see music. If I can't go and I need to sell my tickets again, I shouldn't have to jump through hoops. If I have the tickets and I can put them with another third-party site to try to sell them, granted, if I lose out, I lose out. But they need a place where somebody's going to say, we'll let you post them. We're verified. We're verified with Ticketmaster. We're verified with Live Nation. We're verified with whoever. We're going to focus on this. And if somebody wants to buy them, great, here it is. If not, I feel like the resale market is always kind of like a secondary thought. Like StubHub will hook you up with people to buy tickets, but it's not their sole focus. It's not like you can go to eBay and buy secondhand things. I can't go buy secondhand tickets. Like I have to go search for secondhand tickets. Like even if those tickets are 10% less, maybe I want to go look at those tickets first. And you still have to go search through all the tickets in order to find the ones that people are trying to sell and not necessarily like Live Nation or Ticketmaster or whoever.
I just wonder if even the third-party resale company is still not enough, because it's really crazy how much of a chokehold Live Nation has on the industry. Forget even the whole concert promotion part, or even just concert production aspect. But Matt, I don't know if you realize this, but one of the largest stakeholders in Live Nation is a gentleman named John Malone, who is also the largest stakeholder in Liberty Media. Does that ring a bell to you?
I was waiting for you to say Post Malone, not John Malone.
Yes, he's brothers with Post Malone. Post Malone runs everything. No. So Liberty Media also owns SiriusXM and all of the streaming subsidiaries. So that includes Pandora, Stitcher, and actually Liberty, up until 2021, even had a big stake in iHeartMedia, but then they were like, no, that's too much control of the media. So we have a company that has its hands in massive channels that impact an artist directly. Many, then you can even argue that's in an artist's livelihood. A company that controls their live shows. A company that controls even who hears of them. Of course, you can make the argument as to how, whether SiriusXM is, I would actually argue, yeah, SiriusXM is a huge player still in radio.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah,
still.
they are.
Again, I go back to artists need to speak up more, but then at the same time, it's like, okay, cool. How am I going to say no to Live Nation? A, they're experts, so of course I'm going to listen to their guidance. And B, well, if I say no to them, am I going to get screwed out of playing all these big venues? Am I going to get screwed out of even getting airplay? I hate to be this conspiracy person.
I would agree.
It's
And
hard to fight this.
it is.
And it's hard to deny that, like, maybe they have a little too much control. Again, maybe they will realize, you know what? There's a way we can benefit still and still make customers happy.
I think one of the platforms that artists did speak out on in the near past and kind of won over was Spotify, right? Because Spotify was giving them what, less than a penny per play,
And now they're
something
getting
like that,
full 2 cents.
right? But what ended up coming out of that? Jay-Z spoke up. Jay-Z created his own streaming platform in Tidal, and
then
artists
sold
are
it completely.
right. Smart move on Jay-Z's part as a
Well,
businessman. However, but it was supposed to be for the artists to get paid what they're supposed to be getting paid. And a lot of people pull their catalog and put it over there, or they're listing it on both places. So, I mean, there's room for competition now, at least from the band side. It's like, well, where do you want to put your catalog? I'll put it everywhere. Put it on Tidal, put it on Spotify, put it on X, Y, and Z. Unless, you're like, I think it was, who was it? Snoop who pulled it from Spotify and it's only on Tidal. Something like that.
I mean,
It was the whole Death Row catalog when he purchased it.
And it's back on Spotify and all the streaming platforms and Apple and everything. I think Tidal is a hard example just because it was a big bet for the artist and it kind of failed because everyone was already like, well, I don't need another streaming platform. I'm already on Spotify and I already have Apple Music. Like that was almost an example of it was like a little too late to introduce that side or an additional streaming platform. And even then, like artists were like going, all right, this is still not benefiting me, or I agree there needs to be more competition in the market. But in the end of the day, I don't need I don't need the competitor to come in and just do the exact same thing as Ticketmaster. There needs to be something different. There needs to be something that benefits the artist, that benefit the consumers as much as it benefits the venues and the company itself. Because that's the other thing too. I get it. It's a business. If a business is, they can't just be like, oh, we're in it for the music. No, they need to make money too. I get that. That's the world we live in. It's all about money.
Correct. And there's nobody saying that they should not make money, because obviously then they're not going to be in business, but there needs to be a better way of serving your customers. And your customers literally are the people who are keeping you in business. Yeah. Like if we don't buy tickets to shows, the artists won't come back to the venue, so they won't be playing live shows. And then you're going to have to spin and make money another way. There's got to be a better give and take, because in the world that we're living in now, it's all about how fast can I extract money from your pocket. That's what it is with this dynamic pricing and these fees. And like, I remember when a lot of places, because I used to work for a company that did software for spas and salons. And one of the big pushes when I was there in the late 2000s was everybody was switching over to a membership-based platform, because now you're not just taking money from a person once, you're extracting money from that person's pocket every single month, and you're guaranteed, and you're locking them into, a membership for 12 months. And then you can upsell them more every time that they come in, because you're guaranteed that they're going to at least come in 12 times. And if they don't come in 12 times, then you're just making money off of something that's not getting used. So now you can't really have a Ticketmaster membership. So how can we extract more money out of your pocket? This market pricing seems like it. This dynamic pricing seems like it.
I don't think dynamic pricing works.
I don't think so either. You can't do it. You can't do it for tickets.
It's a lose-lose situation, because either you end up getting the prices to be very high up, but clearly the prices go up too fast, or you actually end up in a worse scenario, which is, the ticket prices go down. That's an even worse look. You don't want prices going down.
Bamboozle.
That's a different episode. Listen to that. We can go into another hour just talking about bamboozle. But like that's why I also get the problem, and Who knows? Maybe that's why they're even encouraging scalpers to be like, no, help us skyrocket the prices here. That's an even worse look for an artist. If I'm Bruce Springsteen, I don't want to find out that in a month tickets actually decreased. Because in theory, that's the beauty of dynamic pricing, is that it could end up saving people money. But if I'm a business person, I don't want that.
That's not going to happen.
I would, in an ideal world, want the price to increase as the dates get closer, not within seconds, which is what's happening with most of these shows. The best way to kind of guarantee, because I think unfortunately, while we can, talk about how terrible fees are until our faces are red, I don't know how, it's ridiculous that some of these fees are $40 per ticket just for fees.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're sitting. That's ridiculous. And I don't understand why.
I disagree with that 100%.
Yeah. Like why?
It should be percentage based, in my opinion.
Like it should be like, if I'm, it's $20 fee, period. Regardless of where you sit. I don't get like why it should be more if I'm in the 200 section versus the 300 section.
Well, here, think about it this way, right? So the way that, in my mind, I think would be absolutely fair to everybody. Let's say that a 30% fee is tacked on to every ticket that's sold. So if I buy a $20 ticket and I get charged a 30% fee, that's $6. So my $20 ticket goes up to $26. Now, if I spend $100 on a ticket and it's 30%, that's a $30 fee. So now your ticket from 100 goes to 130. I mean, if you're going to spend more money on a ticket, your fee should be a little bit higher.
Why?
To me, it just seems fair, because then if you go to the dollar-based model, the dollar base is going to jack up. If you do a $30 fee, or even a $20 fee or a $10 fee, your margin from a $20 ticket on a $10 fee is 50%. So now your $20 ticket goes to 30. Whereas if you have a $100 ticket, your margin is now 10%, and it goes from a $100 ticket to a $110 ticket. So I think it should be percentage based, because it's fair. You know that it's 30% across the board.
I don't know about that. To me, just when it comes to fees being so hard to even understand where the hell they're going, it's like, no, that should be, if the ticket price itself is set at this, it should match that. I don't know, but I mean,
that could actually be a case. That could actually be a case for what England does with all of their pricing. So with and this is me being a total nerd from working at that software company I mentioned, is that with VAT pricing, what they do is they say it's $100 and that's the price, but included in that $100 is a $70 ticket plus a $30 fee. So now you're paying $100 free and clear out the door, no other questions asked.
Something I kind of like, with, as long as it's done correctly and not like bamboozle, with the whole way that festivals do. Hey, if you buy tickets now before we announce the lineup, on good faith, you will get tickets now cheaper than you will in October when we announce the lineup, or when we go here. If you almost spaced it out so that,
it's a dangerous line to walk.
Maybe, but like, either way, if you're going to do these pre-sales, and if you're going to still have the number of pre-sales that you do have, you need to space them out. I would like the idea of, hey, the first, like, let's say there's, the show in June, tickets go on sale throughout April. So the first week of April, pre-sale, if you only go to these stores, hell, you can make this a great partnership with Walmart or Target and say, in person at Target is the only time you can buy tickets between these dates while supplies last. Then the following week, hey, it's now the online fan club pre-sale. And because you are a paying fan club member, granted, I don't even know how many fan clubs even require fans to pay for it anymore. But because you are a loyal fan who even pays to be part of a fan club, tickets will be we will actually strip the fee. So maybe not the same ticket, so the ticket price remains the same, but instead of these fees, you'll only get this one fee. So in theory, you're paying less. And then the following week, it's like hey, regular pre-sale through CityCard, same fees, but you still get a chance the week prior before they go on sale for everyone in the US. So you stagger it that way, and you make it a little bit more incentive for you to be like, well, I don't have to pay any fees if I go in person, or maybe I'll pay one fee if I go in person. The following week, well, I'm a fan club member, so I save money by not having to pay X, Y, and Z fee. And then the following week, it's all right, well, I have to pay all the fees, but I don't have to worry about, when they go on sale for everyone because I'm a card member, so I get that exclusive kind of, it's a smaller pool and it's the week before. If you space it out like that, even by week, instead of literally, all right, Thursday, Tuesday, it's this pre-sale, Wednesday, it's this pre-sale. Like, no, spread it out and give actual, like, more incentive. So it's not just the same freaking price. And it's also not as easy for everyone to participate. Because when you have Live Nation literally emailing you codes for their own pre-sale, all you had to do would be, actually, not even be a subscribe to their emails. If you're just looking on social media at the right time, when they do a post announcing a tour, they literally give it on a Facebook post. Screw that. Stick to the fan club. Stick to like some sort of like club that actually requires the consumer to do more than just sign up for something.
It's technology for technology's sake. That's really what it is. Like you're making something simple be so difficult because you're just trying to extract money from people's pockets.
Yeah. But I think if you add in an in-person sale early on, because I think unfortunately you're not going to get rid of scalpers. But if you can make it,
they've been around for forever.
Yeah, I think if you can find ways so that the fans who really, because there's definitely going to, of course, not every band is going to be able to encourage a huge turnout for an in-person pre-sale. They're just not. I think even like, because the Pitchfork article I was reading follow Bandcamp's model in that, hey, on Fridays, less is more. Like, we're not charging fees. I think they do it like once a month or somewhat regularly, but like, hey, this Friday, these fees actually go here. It's to a charity. It's to artists get all the fees, or maybe, don't go that kind of route, but like maybe you just like, hey, every second Friday, we host in-person pre-sales. And this Friday, it's going to be this artist, this artist, this artist. Taylor Swift can have a whole day dedicated to her, but I'm thinking even some of the more smaller bands who play, even some of the arena bands, like I don't think Muse could justify having a whole day dedicated to just a pre-sale. But if let's say, hey, this Friday, March 21st, I'm just making up dates here, in-person pre-sales for Fall Out Boy, Muse, Lil Wayne, just throwing out names here, they go on sale in person at Target. So that way it's almost like you have a brand partnership then with a big chain store that's available in almost every part of the country. As nice as it would be to go to the venue, sometimes it's a little bit harder to get to the venue. So you put in a location that can actually drive more consumer buying too. You have it set up so that like, all right, people in line, I'm here for Snoop Dogg only, or you know what, I'm here for Muse, but what's the deal in Fall Out Boy? Okay, you know what, let me buy tickets for that too. You can find ways to almost make it a special event too, so that's like for the artists that can't justify a single day to themselves, dedicate a day of the month. And this is when you're going to say, hey, this is when the in-person pre-sales are happening for this artist. If you don't make it to this in-person pre-sale for that artist, then you're going to have to pay for the online fees.
And, there's something to be said about that. Like, I don't care where the money goes for the fees, right? Like, if you're telling me it goes to technology and to paying people and to making sure that everything is up and running and, your cost of whatnot, like storage in the cloud or blah, 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 I don't care. As long as at some point I get my tickets, I'm fine. But when they get outrageous is when I care. I like what you said because when, like, if there's a special thing that they're going to do for the fees, right? Like, we're not going to charge you fees, but we're going to take what we would for the fees and we're going to donate it to X, Y, and Z cause because it's for something that the guys in Fall Out Boy, just making it up, they believe in. Like say they're going to donate the fees to St. Jude's. Perfect. I can get behind that because the amount of people that show up at Jersey Mike's when they do their one day of giving, where every single sandwich purchase goes towards a charity that they're doing it for that day. Let me tell you, you can't get near the sandwich shop. And the line is massive. You're going to wait like an hour and a half for a sandwich, but it's for a good cause. So if you do that and you show up in person, I completely agree with. I would be behind that, but it's maybe if you do show up in person, there's a way to do some cross promotional sales. Like if somebody comes in and buys a concert ticket, and then they buy, if it's in a music store, they buy an album or they buy a T-shirt or they buy a pop figure. There's like 5% profit sharing between the band or the ticket company and the store. Just something else, to make that partnership a little bit better. So then everybody makes up, makes when that person comes in, because maybe they weren't coming in to buy anything, but except the concert tickets, but they ended up buying all these other things because they were just there.
I know I keep going to Target because I know Walmart used to sell tickets for a short period of time, but there was controversy with some bands
Really?
not wanting. Yeah, it's like the late 2000s, and a lot of bands were not happy about it because they're like, wait, I can't even sell my CD at Walmart because it has a parent advisory sticker on it, but they can buy my tickets and a gun there. I think
Get her done.
Target is like the most obvious choice in that, like, they have so many locations. A lot of people go to Target for a variety of things. And to your point, like, even if they like set it up so that, like, all right, this day we're going to have in-person pre-sales for these artists, have to, like, if they have a little like a section in the corner of the store dedicated to this, you could have T-shirts on sale there too, and that's where bands can make an additional profit from there. Like, hell, you know what? Get rid of the
Hot
CD and
topic.
vinyl. Oof.
Hot topic.
I mean, that can definitely benefit some bands, but then you'd have to go to a mall, and those are closed. I mean, that's the downside too, is that you will. This kind of goes into then, like, all right, then how much power are you giving to a single store? Because let's be real, the mall, there's not many malls around anymore to justify this. There's not many retail stores that can handle the space to dedicate to such a long line. In theory, long lines. There's not many stores that have such a large footprint that can kind of guarantee that if I have a show in Biloxi, Mississippi, just throwing it out there, that I can find a place to do these these in-person pre-sales. So then you end up kind of becoming beholden to a single company, kind of like where we are with Live Nation. I know that I'm the one who made this suggestion, but here I am poking holes in my own my own idea.
I think there's more stores out there than you think that could handle something like this, right? Like, just to use your Target example, there are registers that are not in use, and they're literally there just to hold bags that they can't have anymore, and to hold computer systems that they bought forever ago, but now they don't use them because they're self-checkout. There's space in some of these retail stores. They could do it if they really wanted to, if the partnership was right.
You know what? I'm also here's spitballing some ideas, because I also remember there is one instance. I remember as a kid, me and my dad were gonna go buy AC/DC tickets in person at the arena. We got in the car, we drove, and we get there. We drove around only to realize that in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Arena, that there was a Flyers game going on, and that parking was going to be next to impossible. So the idea of, like, that's a downside to doing it at arenas. But what if, given that Live Nation has so many theaters, and maybe this is an idea, a way to also promote these smaller venues, you set up Irving Plaza as your in-person pre-sale, like special day in-person pre-sales. So you're at Irving Plaza at 10 a.m. to buy Muse tickets. But while you're there, not only are you going, well, there's also Muse t-shirts here, so I want to buy a Muse t-shirt. And, oh, wait, who's coming to Irving Plaza on April 16th? And how much are tickets? You know what? While I'm here, let me buy tickets for that. So maybe that's the way to go, is you've already had these partnerships with the venues. You set it up and you add a little extra fee so that you cover the cost of the security, and you cover the cost of the people there and any technology that goes involved too, because maybe you can even set up so that it automatically goes, instead of having to print out tickets, it still goes to a wallet. So you still have some fees there, but it's going to be considerably less. And it also makes the scalpers take an extra measure to get these tickets, or at least gives the fans who really want to go a chance to beat out the scalpers. And you end up doing some self-promotion for the smaller venues for bands who, fans who might only be caring about those big bands and suddenly go, oh, wow, this is a cool looking venue. I should look into the show.
I mean, I agree. Also, one of the things that I don't think we've talked about is just put a cap on how many tickets somebody can buy. Like, don't let them come in and buy.
Well, in theory, they do. In
theory, but online they do that. But if you go this route of bring people to local ticket booths and having them buy tickets in person, just limit how many people can buy. You let them buy like 10 tickets at most, and then say nope.
Well, I think that's too much. I think it's become a
whatever that number is.
I think it's become a golden rule where really, in some extreme cases, it's only 2 tickets during pre-sales, but I think it's become common practice where they've capped it to be like, no, only 4 tickets. And I think that's fair.
Correct. I agree with that. But just to make sure that it's called out and we've successfully done all that we can to prevent scalping and make the world a better place for ticket purchasing, and we are now flying the flag of fair for all.
Well, so to recap and also to kind of wrap things up a little bit, in short, fees suck.
Fees are bad.
Dynamic prices suck. Pre-sales are faulty. Live Nation has too much control. And I'm Zach Shaw, and I'm happy to be here. I wish there was something that I think we made some suggestions, but it really, in the end of the day, it's how much is Live Nation, not even Ticketmaster, how much is Live Nation willing to work with artists more and to actually budge?
And to work with fans too.
Yeah.
Like, we're the ones that are ultimately paying the price.
So fans, what do you think? Do you agree with all of our suggestions? Are we missing something that would actually pop a hole in this whole bubble that Live Nation's created that we're missing here? Let us know. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, also TikTok, @EpicFootnote. Let us know what you think. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to hear more episodes like this, including one that we get a little in the weeds regarding another festival that's having some fun issues with ticketing. And thank you so much to Lucky 13 Beard Co.
Log on to Lucky13, beardco.com. They've got a great bunch of beard balms and oils over there that are going to make you feel amazing, smell epic, and we have our own beard oil with them, the Lemmy. It is an inspiration from Lemmy from Motorhead, all things that he was about, bourbon, tobacco, cola, leather. It is possibly the best smelling beard oil I've ever smelled. And like I said, all of their stuff is going to make you feel amazing. So if you've never tried beard balms and oils before, we're giving you 10% off of anything that you buy from them. It doesn't have to be our beard oil, but it can be too. Put anything in your cart, use the code EFP10 at checkout, 10% off of your entire order. Lucky13, beardco.com, EFP10 at checkout.
And we talk about buying things online. If you actually do like to buy tickets online, maybe you'd like to buy t-shirts, coffee mugs, other accessories online as well. Yeah, we have our own t-shirts, coffee mugs, hoodies. linktr.ee/epicfootnote. Or even easier, go to the bios of any of our social media channels, and you get a direct link there, and find out how you can buy t-shirts that also benefit us so that we can keep doing these kind of podcasts. So thanks so much in advance for your support. Thanks so much for listening, and we hope you join us for another episode real soon.
See ya.